In a statement that has sent shockwaves through international markets and diplomatic circles, raising concerns among investors and world leaders alike, former President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning, framing Guyana's unprecedented oil boom not as an economic opportunity for the region, but as a direct and immediate national security threat to America, urging policymakers to take urgent action. This controversial declaration has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles and the energy sector alike, as it is rooted in a multifaceted and deeply alarming argument. At its core, the claim is not just about economics or business, but about the very nature of influence, power, and security in the Western Hemisphere. The debate has ignited passionate responses from politicians, analysts, and citizens, all of whom are grappling with the potential consequences of this rapidly evolving situation. The stakes, they argue, could not be higher, as the future of regional stability and the balance of power may hang in the balance. First and foremost, former President Trump and his advisors have raised the alarm about the unprecedented and rapid influx of foreign capital into Guyana, a small but strategically located nation on the northern coast of South America. They point specifically to the involvement of Chinese state-owned enterprises, which have been aggressively securing drilling rights, infrastructure contracts, and other lucrative deals in the burgeoning Guyanese oil sector. According to Trump's camp, these investments are not merely about profit or development. They are, in their view, a carefully orchestrated Trojan horse. The metaphor is deliberate and evocative. Just as the ancient Greeks used a seemingly innocuous gift to infiltrate and ultimately conquer Troy, so too, they argue, is China using its economic might to gain a hidden and potentially dangerous foothold in the Americas. The concern is that these deals, while outwardly beneficial to Guyana's economy, may come with strings attached, strings that could be pulled at any moment to serve Beijing's strategic interests. The heart of the argument is that this influx of Chinese investment is not just about oil or infrastructure, it is about geopolitics. Trump and his advisors contend that by embedding itself so deeply in Guyana's critical industries, China is positioning itself as a major player just a few hundred miles from American shores. This, they warn, could give a United States adversary a strategic and deeply embedded foothold in the Western Hemisphere, one that could be leveraged in times of crisis or conflict. The proximity of Guyana to the U.S. mainland, closer than many realize, adds to the sense of urgency. Security experts worry that Chinese-controlled infrastructure, ports, and energy assets could be used for intelligence gathering, military logistics, or even as leverage in diplomatic negotiations. The specter of a rival superpower establishing a base of operations so close to home is, for many, a chilling prospect. As the debate rages on, questions remain about how best to respond. Should the U.S. increase its own investments in the region? Should it pressure Guyana to limit Chinese involvement? Or is this simply the new reality of a multipolar world where influence is contested on every front? What is clear is that the situation in Guyana is about much more than oil. It is a test case for the future of great power competition in the 21st century. Second, the warning draws attention to the growing risk of regional instability, a concern that has been simmering beneath the surface for years but is now coming to a head. The border between Guyana and Venezuela has long been a flashpoint, marked by deep historical grievances, competing territorial claims, and a legacy of mistrust that stretches back generations. In recent months, tensions have escalated dramatically, with both sides increasing their military presence and engaging in heated rhetoric. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of local communities, many of whom have family ties that cross the border and are caught in the middle of this geopolitical struggle. The warning from the administration is not just about the immediate risk of conflict, but about the broader implications for peace and security in the region. The administration's perspective is that Guyana's sudden and dramatic oil wealth has fundamentally altered the dynamics of its long-standing border dispute with Venezuela. Once considered a relatively poor and overlooked nation, Guyana has been thrust into the global spotlight by the discovery of vast offshore oil reserves. This newfound prosperity has not only transformed Guyana's economy, but has also raised the stakes of the territorial dispute with Venezuela, which claims a significant portion of Guyana's territory, including the resource-rich Essequibo region. The influx of oil revenue has enabled Guyana to invest in its military and infrastructure, but it has also made the country a more attractive target for its larger, more powerful neighbor. The administration fears that the rapid pace of change could destabilize the delicate balance that has kept the dispute from boiling over in the past, and that the lure of oil wealth could tempt both sides to take more aggressive actions. Venezuela's alliances with major global powers like Russia and China add another layer of complexity to the situation. These relationships provide Venezuela with diplomatic support, economic investment, and in some cases, military assistance. Russia and China have both expressed interest in the region's resources and have used their influence to back Venezuela's claims, complicating efforts to resolve the dispute peacefully. The presence of these powerful allies means that any escalation along the Guyana-Venezuela border could quickly draw in outside actors, turning a local conflict into a flashpoint for broader geopolitical competition. For Guyana, this creates a sense of vulnerability, as it faces not just a territorial dispute with a neighbor, but the possibility of being caught in the crossfire of great power rivalry. From the administration's point of view, the oil boom in Guyana is not simply a regional economic success story, but a potential catalyst for a major conflict that could have far-reaching consequences. Rather than seeing the newfound wealth as a benefit to the region, officials worry that it could spark a confrontation that draws in the United States militarily. The presence of U.S. forces in the Caribbean and the increasing involvement of outside powers underscore the seriousness of the situation. If the dispute were to escalate into open conflict, it could destabilize not only Guyana and Venezuela, but the entire region, threatening vital shipping lanes, energy supplies, and the security of neighboring countries. The administration's warning is a call for vigilance and diplomacy, emphasizing the urgent need for dialogue, restraint, and international cooperation to prevent a crisis that could spiral out of control. Finally, the argument turns inward, claiming that the new wealth empowers the Guyanese government to ignore U.S. policy demands and expectations, making it an unpredictable and unreliable partner that can now resist American pressure on issues like immigration and diplomatic alignment. What was once celebrated as an economic miracle for Guyana, a small South American nation long overshadowed by its larger neighbors, has now been dramatically reframed on the world stage. The discovery of vast offshore oil reserves brought hope, prosperity, and the promise of a transformed future for the Guyanese people. For years, the narrative was one of optimism, a country poised to leap from poverty to prosperity, fueled by the black gold beneath its coastal waters. International investors flocked to Georgetown, and the skyline began to change as new infrastructure projects took shape. Local communities buzzed with anticipation, and the world watched as Guyana's GDP soared at unprecedented rates. But as the oil flowed, so too did the attention of powerful global actors, each with their own interests and agendas. This reframing, from a story of economic triumph to one of looming peril, signals a potential future fraught with international tension. The same oil that promised prosperity now threatens to become a source of instability. As diplomatic relations grow increasingly strained, the specter of severe economic sanctions looms large. These sanctions could target not only the oil sector but also banking, trade, and even the daily lives of ordinary Guyanese citizens. Travel bans may be imposed on key officials, business leaders, and their families, isolating them from the global community. Headlines around the world speculate about the next moves. Will foreign governments freeze assets? Will multinational corporations be forced to pull out? The uncertainty is palpable, and the stakes could not be higher. Beyond the visible measures of sanctions and travel restrictions, there are whispers of more covert actions being considered. Intelligence agencies are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, with some governments allegedly supporting clandestine operations designed to undermine Guyana's sovereignty. Shadowy figures move through the corridors of power, plotting strategies that could destabilize the region. Barbed wire and increased security at border crossings hint at a growing sense of unease. Meanwhile, on the streets of Georgetown and in towns across the country, protesters wave Guyanese flags, demanding that their nation's independence and right to self-determination be respected. The tension is not just political, it is deeply personal for the people whose lives and futures hang in the balance. The world map itself seems to be shifting as alliances are tested and new lines are drawn. Animated maps show borders in flux, reflecting the uncertainty that now defines the region. High-altitude satellite images reveal a Caribbean that is more closely watched than ever before, with military assets quietly amassing near key oil facilities. The presence of foreign warships and surveillance drones is a stark reminder that the struggle for control over Guyana's resources is not just economic, but also strategic. The Caribbean, once seen as a tranquil backwater, is now a focal point in a high-stakes geopolitical contest. The rules of engagement are changing, and the consequences could reverberate far beyond Guyana's shores. As these diplomatic confrontations escalate, the ripple effects are being felt around the globe. Energy markets react to every headline, with oil prices fluctuating in response to the latest developments. Neighboring countries worry about the potential for conflicts spilling across borders, while international organizations scramble to mediate and prevent escalation. The people of Guyana, caught in the crossfire of global interests, face an uncertain future. Will their newfound wealth bring lasting prosperity, or will it become a curse that invites interference and instability? The answers are far from clear, and the situation is evolving by the day. In this new era of tension, staying informed is more important than ever. Our team is committed to bringing you in-depth analysis, on-the-ground reporting, and expert insights into the unfolding crisis. We'll break down the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and interests that are shaping the future of Guyana and the wider region. Don't miss a single update, as we track the story from every angle, providing the context you need to understand what's at stake. To make sure you're always up to date on these crucial developments, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Join our community of engaged viewers who refuse to be left in the dark. The world is changing fast, and together we can stay ahead of the curve.